Here we go. Episode 91 of the Hardline Sports Talk. I'm Michael Merlo. I've got John Michael Messeri. JM, how are you on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon?
I'm good, man. It's a nice day out. Sun's coming out. It's getting warmer. And
Yeah.
then it gets colder again. I think that's why I've been like feeling a little sick lately. So if they want to, make up its mind of what the temperature is going to be, that'd be nice. But
Spring's here. 40 and 60 is basically the same thing when you get to March.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, no, it
Um,
is.
I'm doing good though, man. I'm doing good. I like your haircut. It looks
Thank you.
good.
Just went today. Looking good.
It looks
Feeling good.
great,
I
like always.
appreciate that.
So doing good.
Ready to go. And really, for me, and I think for you too, the best time of the year is coming up. Not only is the weather getting warmer, but we are getting to baseball season, our favorite sport, our favorite teams coming back. And yeah, again, the weather's nice. And we did get a little preview of what baseball could look like this year with the Baseball Classic, but 8 days away from right now. Could be 7 from when you're listening or shorter. I cannot wait for opening day. We're going to talk some World Baseball Classic, talk a little baseball. Next week, we're really going to get into the nitty gritty, our prediction show, giving you everything we think is going to happen. And we were really great last year. We hit it right on the nose last year with a lot.
We did pretty good.
No, I was being sarcastic. I did terrible.
No, we did though. We did pretty solid with some of them. I remember your World Series prediction was something like out of left field. It was like Brewers, White Sox, or something.
Brewers, Blue Jays.
Yeah,
With
that's
the Jays
ridiculous.
winning in 6.
Um,
What was yours?
I got some of the awards right. I got the Judge MVP pick. Me and you both picked Max Fried to win the Cy Young,
and he had a really nice season. That
did.
Wasn't out of there. He must have finished in the top 5 in NL Cy Young.
The AL Cy Young, you picked Berrios, who was like the worst pitcher in the AL, and I picked Giolito, who was like also one of the worst pitchers in the AL. But that's why they're predictions and not facts.
And I think I had Robert too, Luis Robert, to win
Yeah.
the American League MVP.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to let you know something. I bet all these. I bet all of our predictions.
Really? I should have done that. I would have hit. The only 2 ones I got right were Judge and Julio Rodriguez for the Rookie of the Year. That was it.
Well, you would have won money either way because the odds on these awards are really, they're big odds. And Judge, we had a friend that had Judge at a big number, and he won a lot of money.
Yeah. Friend's a strong word, but yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Anyway, so we'll do all that next week. We are going to talk about the World Baseball Classic, though, and a guy that obviously, no matter what league he's playing in, is going to be the favorite to win the MVP, and that is Shohei Ohtani, who is just the talk of the sports world today. I mean, if you've got Colin Cowherd talking about baseball on his show and opening up with it, or at least talking about it in the first half of the show, that means baseball is doing something right. We had Japan defeat the U.S. 3-2 in a dream matchup for baseball. You get Ohtani, you get Japan, who is just, I mean, they're loaded.
Yeah.
They don't have a lot of these players coming over to the major leagues yet, but there are a few of those guys like Sasaki, the guy that hit the home run yesterday. I'm blanking on how to say his name.
The third baseman, or
he's the left-handed hitter that hit the home run and he had the walk-off against Mexico.
Right.
He's won the MVP in the Japanese league 2 straight years now. We had 55 home runs last year. He's an unbelievable player. They have some legit players.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, they showed, the death lineup, the dream team of the U.S., what they are about in Japan.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think the big takeaway here for the U.S. is the pitching. It's actually not what ended up hurting us in the end. We only scored 2 runs, lost 3-2. But, when you're throwing out Merrill Kelly and Adam Wainwright and Lance Lynn down the stretch, it's a little disappointing when you think about all the aces and the Cy Young winners and whatever else that we have who could play for the U.S. that choose not to. And I don't really get why players say they don't want to do it. To me, I would think, you go through spring training every year, and I understand from a mindset if you want to be focused in on the season, but you're going out there and you're playing the game. Nothing's different. If you were out there in a spring training start versus a World Baseball Classic start, it's just what the stage you're on. I mean, these guys have pitch counts. There's rules that are implemented into the tournament as the pitch counts go up from round to round. I think the first round 65 and it ends up as like 95 is the max in the championship. And you know that the US is talking to these baseball teams, these MLB teams saying, all right, can we pitch him this day? And they're going to say, no, he's got to rest a little more. So I don't really understand not going into the tournament as a pitcher. The injuries that we've seen, obviously you don't really want to talk about it too much, but the Edwin Diaz injury,
Right.
that wasn't even something where it had to do with him pitching. That was just a freak accident and, them celebrating as they won the game. But the only really big injuries I saw was the Jose Altuve one, and that was, the hit by pitch, but that could happen in a spring training game. Like, it's no different.
Yes, it all can happen. I think the position players, it kind of, to an extent, is almost the same thing, right? Like the position players, I don't mind them playing before the year. I actually think it can help the position players a little bit more. Guys are in slumps maybe to start the year, or Pete Alonso wasn't really hitting the crap out of the ball until the last game he played. He started off 1 for 10 in the tournament. Maybe Pete Alonso got his first slump out of the way in the World Baseball Classic and can come into the season. These are things that can happen. I'm not predicting this is going to happen, but you get what I mean. Yeah, pitchers, I think it's really, really different. And Scherzer actually talked about it last week. This was his quote. He said, "I'm not ready to step into a quasi playoff game right now." And guys like Scherzer and Verlander, like that makes sense to a point. Older guys are not going to pitch in this tournament. I just think it's too much of a risk when we see all these pitchers going down at the rate that they go. Come on, like it is unreal.
No, but I don't like I said,
we see from pitchers.
I don't see the difference in that versus spring training. I mean, you look at
you don't think they're pitching differently
No, you look at the Yankees situation right now. Rodon's out until the middle of the year. That was until the middle of May or whatever it is. That was a spring training injury. Nestor missed the World Baseball Classic because he hurt himself in pitchers and catchers. And what did we see out of the U.S. pitchers? I haven't heard of any injuries out of any of them. So
no, thank God you haven't, but it's different for a pitcher and his preparation for spring training games and getting ready for the season and building yourself up than it is for much different for a position player. And even a relief pitcher. Relief pitchers can go obviously and throw as long as they're going 1 inning and not pitching back-to-back days to start the year, because many relievers don't start the year doing that.
But I want to come at this from a different perspective, though. Even if, let's say these guys, I'm just going to make up a number in my head. Let's say they got a 5% chance, these pitchers, of getting hurt in spring training, and then they have an 8% chance of getting hurt in the World Baseball Classic. I still think, as a pitcher, this is a tournament that comes around once every 3 years. And I think it proved to people that it's a big deal. You looked at the ratings, like the international effect it had. The energy was out of this world. All these players that are playing in the game, U.S. players included, saying the atmosphere is fantastic. Trea Turner said that might be the biggest home run I've ever hit in my life. They're going crazy in the dugouts. They're into all these games. They're super passionate about it. The fans are passionate about it. You really think that 3% difference should justify not going to the World Baseball Classic and representing your country? I don't know. Me personally, I don't get that.
Yeah, listen, internationally, it's huge, right? You saw the ratings, whether it was Puerto Rico, Japan, the rating was huge. And listen, for a baseball game that is not a playoff game or a World Series game, the number was great, in the U.S., and I wonder what it was for the championship game last night. I haven't seen that yet. Internationally, it's huge. There's no debating that. Here, it doesn't mean as much to the U.S. fan, and I think that's why you see, maybe these starting pitchers, especially for the U.S., that are like, yeah, it's a great tournament, but is it worth me risking, a chance at a World Series title? I don't know the answer to that. I could just tell you what some pitchers have said about it.
Right.
And by the way, Kershaw, I think Kershaw got blocked. Like teams can block players. Kershaw either got blocked or insurance wasn't going to cover something if he was to get hurt.
You
So
know what?
he
I
had to back
completely
out.
forgot. I remember when they were announcing the team a couple months ago. I remember seeing his name. I just completely forgot that he wasn't on the team. He was going to be like, our ace basically. But going back to the game, you talked about Ohtani. It's not like I don't care if you want to hate on somebody, and I don't really see how you could hate on Shohei Ohtani because the Angels are irrelevant. But for whatever reason, if there's somebody out there who doesn't like Shohei Ohtani, I'm just telling you right now, give it up. This guy, it's out of this world. Like, I don't think it kind of hit me this tournament, honestly. Like, I knew he was amazing, but it kind of hit me where I'm like, this guy is incredible at everything. Like, we have never seen this. We've heard about it with guys like Babe Ruth and whoever, but he literally throws 102 miles an hour, can throw a wipeout slider, and then can hit a home run the next at bat. Like, it's incredible. And on top of it, he's like one of the fastest players in the MLB.
Yeah, Babe Ruth only did it for 2 years, and Babe Ruth was not this crazy athlete, right? We're going to see Ohtani hopefully for, at an elite level doing this for his 3rd year at an elite level that I don't even think Ruth could have even imagined doing this. So yeah, he's bigger than baseball. I mean, just look at him in Japan. This guy is on, I think at this point,
he's a god.
He has to be on Lionel Messi's pedestal,
right?
In Argentina. That's how he is in Japan at this point,
right?
And for baseball is their sport, and we can see why it's their sport. They're really freaking good at it, but he is that big. He transcends baseball, and when it really hit me, it kind of hit me this tournament. It hit me last year, like, oh my god. And I don't even think Major League Baseball, who was obsessed with promoting him, did a good enough job. Like, they need to promote him even more. But last night on the broadcast, they're saying, if he's, God forbid, to go down, like, he is literally, he's 2 players.
Yeah.
Like, you're losing 2 star players.
They came out with the All World Baseball Classic team, and he made it as a DH and as a starting pitcher.
Yeah, it's like, so when we talk about what this guy is going to get as a contract, right? Let's just look at some comps that we've seen in the past couple of years. I'm not saying he's Garrett Cole, but Garrett Cole got $300 million, right?
He's
as a starting pitcher.
How old is he? Was he like 28?
He's younger, I think, which is nuts.
I know we'll try to compare, and
I don't know. Oh, you're right. He's 28. Sorry.
He's 28. I don't know how his agent is going to negotiate. I don't know. It's probably Boris. He's got everybody.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you can negotiate that contract because honestly, if I'm Scott Boris, I'm gonna tell any team, I'm gonna say, okay, you're signing Garrett Cole, but you're also signing Bryce Harper. So let's just take those 2 contracts and combine. Like, you can literally say that if you want. I think at 28 years old, this guy, I think it's a lock that he's gonna get at least 10 years, $500 million. I think that's the baseline. Like, that is a lock.
That's where you start.
If he gets under 50 million, I'm shocked. How could he not? And I don't know how many teams are going to be interested in him. Obviously, every team would be interested in him, but how many teams are actually going to realistically be interested in him that can afford it? But I don't care what the hell the luxury tax is. Like, if there's one guy to just blow through every threshold on the luxury tax and whatever else, it's Shohei Ohtani. And
you blow through it. It doesn't matter if it makes baseball sense. Like, your baseball people can tell you, well, you could probably get 4 players, what you're going to pay for this guy, and like high level players, what you're going to pay. Does not matter. Right. He gets people in the ballpark no matter what day it is.
He's an icon. You're signing, a Michael Jordan. You're literally doing that. And
you're signing a piece of art. You're signing like somebody that literally people come to see. Doesn't matter if you're winning. You're coming to watch this guy at the ballpark.
And what I just realized from talking about, I said it just hit me in this tournament, and you said it kind of hit you also, of how good he is. I think the reason for that is we've never seen him on such a big scale and in such relevant baseball, and that's the unfortunate part about him. and Mike Trout especially, is, Mike Trout was talking about, they asked him before the game, they said, is this the biggest game you've ever played in? And he said, yeah. He said, I played a couple playoff games back in 2014. And when he said that, I was like, oh my God, this guy hasn't been in the playoffs in 10 years. Mike Trout is the closest thing we've seen to likes of Willie Mays and Ken Griffey Jr. and Mickey Mantle and guys like that. And he hasn't been in the playoffs since 2014. And you go around and you ask people, do you know Mike Trout versus do you know Aaron Judge? I guarantee you, wherever you are in the country, more people are going to say Aaron Judge because Aaron Judge plays for an iconic franchise.
Yeah, it helps that he's playing for that franchise.
And exactly. Trout has not appeared in big games, and that's why I pray, and it's going to happen. There's no way Ohtani's going to stay in with the Angels.
Ohtani's leaving.
I pray that he's, it'll suck, if he's not a Yankee. Like, I'm not really banking on it. I think there's going to be a lot of teams out there for him. But for the sake of baseball, I hope he's a Yankee. I hope he's a Met. I hope he's a Dodger. I hope he's a Red. No, I don't hope he's a Red Sox. I hope he's somebody like that. I hope he's on an iconic franchise that's going to give him the opportunity to win because that's what he deserves. And that's where you want your best players in your sport to be playing, on these great teams.
Yeah. I think the three teams you just named, the Padres may get involved, but with the contracts that they've given out, I don't really see how realistic it is. I don't know. But those are the teams, and I think he'll end up being a Dodger unless this this West Coast bias is gone and he's willing to listen to teams east of Texas. But and therefore the Mets and the Yankees will obviously be involved. But yeah, you hope he lands on one of these teams because you just want to see him playing relevant baseball, and we should just thank God every day. We say this about Mahomes, like we get to watch Mahomes and we've got to watch LeBron, and now we get to watch Shohei Ohtani, and we also hope he's able to stay healthy for realistically most of his career, for his prime, most of his prime.
That's the last thing I wanted to say about him was there was concerns about, is he going to be able to hit and pitch? Is this sustainable for a long time? And I understand those concerns 100%. And, we might see, down the road, maybe some issues. I think he could do it though. Like I really think like this is just the way this guy is built. He's one of one. I think he could pitch and hit for years on years and do it at an elite level and not worry about, getting arm fatigue and stuff like. I just think he's just insane. Like he's a unicorn. He literally is a unicorn.
Yeah. And by the way, his agent is actually not Scott Boras.
Wow.
It is Nez Baleo. I definitely butchered that.
Not sure who that is, but
yeah,
good for Nez. He's about to get a big payday.
Yeah, a huge. What is it like? What is it? 5%. So what's 5% of like? So I think the numbers.
He'll make He'll make $25 million off a $500 million contract.
I don't think it's going to be $500 million. I think it's going to be $600 million.
I think he could ask for $1 billion. I don't think he could do whatever the hell he wants.
It might end up being $1 billion if one of these teams, if the Mets or the Yankees or the Dodgers, whatever they're over on the luxury tax, it might end up costing $1 billion to have.
Exactly.
Which is that's kind of nuts. Moving on here to some other players in the WBC. The Phillies' new little toy there, Trea Turner, had himself a tournament, 5 home runs, a 1,500 OPS.
Yeah.
So that's good to deal with in the NL East, which is already stacked.
I'm telling you, man, they're looking like a fun team next year. That lineup,
so much fun.
That lineup, Schwarber, Realmuto, Turner, and then you throw in when Bryce Harper comes back, like that's a scary lineup.
Oh, it's very scary.
Mm-hmm.
It's really crazy, just like Trea Turner's like entire career, right? He came up, he was a top, well, I've always hated him. He was a top prospect and, just kind of burst onto the scene. He had a 937 OPS in his first full year, well, really 73 games in 2016, but the power wasn't there. And then all of a sudden in 20, he hits 12 home runs in the shortened season, and then bang, he's hitting 30 home runs in half of his games in 21. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, no, he had 20 home runs in 2021.
I feel like we see that a lot with middle infielders as their career like progresses. That's like what happened to Didi. He was not like a home run hitter, and then he came to the Yankees, and he every year it seemed like his home runs kept ticking up and up.
It's really crazy. I
Yeah.
mean, he is such a amazing player. I always remember we would joke around like, "Oh, he's the first pick in fantasy baseball drafts." Like, no, he's legit
Yeah,
the
he
first,
is.
like the best fantasy player.
Right.
He's added the power. He steals bases. He hits for a high average. He's an unbelievable player. His defense is okay. It's short, and the Phillies will obviously just take whatever he gives at shortstop because they're not worried about that. They signed him for that bat, and he took less money to go there. And you're saying it's a fun team. They seem like they're a close-knit group. I mean, Harper obviously was the first one there, and Kevin Long's the hitting coach, and they know each other from their days in Washington. They bring Schwarber along. Now they bring in Turner. Like, yeah, that is a close-knit group.
Yeah.
And they're a lot of fun to watch if you don't hate the Phillies, because that lineup is something else.
And their pitching's gotten better too.
Yeah, they have a great front line. Those two can go against any two in baseball.
And the bullpen is much improved. I think they're like 8th in projected Fangraphs WAR out of all the bullpens or something like that.
Yeah, their bullpen's interesting. Sir Anthony Dominguez really took a nice step forward last year. He was always somebody that like they expected so much out of him, and he was always banged up. And finally, with a full season healthy, he was really freaking good. I mean, he was their 8th inning guy. He ends up being their closer late in the year. Robertson was banged up a little bit after they had traded for him. Yeah, he bursted onto the scene. But they have Kimbrel, and you know how hit or miss he is.
Yeah.
What kind of Craig Kimbrel are you going to get? And Jose Alvarado is the most wild pitcher in baseball.
Yeah, he is.
Would not want to step into the box versus him. But the Phillies got themselves a great lineup. And Real Muto, too. Like, it's just, you kind of forget about him. We just drafted him in fantasy. You always forget about how great he is. He's almost a 5-tool player as well. The speed that he can add. He plays a premium position at catcher where you don't really see great offensive numbers. He puts up great offensive numbers, so he's impressive too.
Yeah, for sure. That division, well, I mean, we're going to talk about it next week. I'm still juggling of who I think is going to win. I don't want to reveal too much. And you just talked about those starting pitchers. We're going to do our starting pitchers list. And I think I showed a pretty decent amount of love to those Philadelphia Phillies.
Really got both of them in there. I haven't done it yet, so I got to still look. Okay. But how many pitchers in the NL East are in that top 10? We could eat half of the starting pitchers can be in the top 10.
Yeah,
they probably are.
I think it's like at least half. Now that I'm thinking about it in my head, yeah.
Fried, I know you love Strider.
Mm-hmm.
Scherzer, Verlander, and then Nola
Alcantara.
Holy shit! Oh my god!
You the whole division.
You can have 7 starters of the top 10 in one division.
You could, and it's the NL. The NL is just loaded with pitching.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. This is going to be an interesting list to do. What else do we got on the baseball front, though? Can we talk about something for a second? Because I've watched my fair share of spring training games, not as much as I'd like.
I'll be honest, I haven't really watched much of spring training at all. It's kind of just like, it's like stupid baseball to me.
So early on, we're testing out the pitch clock and, all these new rules. And I was watching and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. And I ended up loving it. And I still love it. I think these rules are unbelievable. And it's going to change baseball for the better, like a baseball renaissance. I honestly believe this with these new rules. I'm watching the World Baseball Classic last night, and maybe this is why I couldn't get into it as much, but just watching a handful of spring training games to then watching these World Baseball Classic games, especially early on when the game sucked.
Yeah.
It was an impossible watch.
Well, that's a really good point. And I'm actually surprised because I feel like sometimes, or not sometimes, I feel like your personality, you're like a traditionalist.
Yes.
And I'm pretty surprised that you like these rules. I love them. I think they're a great idea. And, when they first came implemented into spring training, a lot of people were complaining. And I remember having conversations with my friends and saying, listen, like, they're being strict because it's going to be ugly in the beginning, but they want all the guys to get used to the rules, so that way there's no problems heading forward. And now I feel like every week it's starting to get smoother and smoother. And I mean, you look at the time of the games; they're cutting games by 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And you're right. I love the word you use, renaissance. I think that it's going to transform the game forever. It's going to reach out better to young kids because the young kids, they watch these sports, basketball, football, they see the fast moving sports. And between Bob Costas sitting there talking about 1948, what happened in the World Series, and the pitcher taking 30 seconds in between pitches, if I'm a kid, I'm changing the channel at that point. So good for them. The point you just made with the World Baseball Classic, that's the one thing that I have a problem with, is why are they implementing the pitch clock?
Yep.
But then when the playoffs come around, they're just gonna remove it. Like guys are, there are guys struggling. What? I heard that there's no pitch clock in the playoffs.
No, I think it's the playoffs.
Now you double check that for me, but that's what I've heard on Twitter and people say. I never saw like an official ruling from the MLB on that. I don't know what they're doing with that. I know they do that with like the ghost runner. They take that away in extra innings.
Yes.
In playoffs. But I really hope that that's not true because, these guys are going to get into routines and the pace of the game is going to change. And you can't just go back to normal and extend games by an hour in the playoffs.
Right. And you know what's nuts? And I kept seeing this come up like, the playoffs, big moments. If you go back in time, and Evan Roberts on The Fan did this, he went back in time like a nerd and timed the biggest moment, like the biggest plays in baseball history from back in the day, right? Like, yep. At bats from the Mets comeback in 86 in game 6, or, Hank Aaron's big home run, just big moments. He went back and did the pitch clock, and 90% of the time they were in the 15 or 20 seconds. That's just how they worked back in the day. That's how games were played back in the day. So I really don't want to hear, these moments are going to be ruined. Really, do we need to see Robert Suarez in last year's playoff taking 45 seconds to throw a pitch to Bryce Harper? Yeah. I want to turn it off at that point. Our attention spans are so much different, including mine, who's a diehard baseball fan.
Yeah.
I find myself on my phone doing stuff and just looking up when a pitch is being thrown and a play happening and then going down. Now, I can't be.
And we're diehard fans, and we're doing that. What about the casual fans?
Now I'm going to be locked in. What's the number at? What's the clock at?
Yeah.
Is he going to get this in time? Like, that adds to it.
It's great. I just looked it up. It doesn't seem like it's like decided on because there's a bunch of articles that are less than 24 hours old saying, should the MLB turn off the pitch clock and this and that. So I really hope that they don't turn it off. But yeah, did you see that video? It was like, how many times can Jose Altuve hit an inside the park home run before David Ross gets a pitch thrown to him in like the NLCS like 6 years ago? And he ended up hitting like 7 inside the park home runs.
That was nuts.
Before the next pitch was
with
thrown.
The disengagements and timeouts. This is what I'll say. If you want to change something in the playoffs, this is all I'll give you. The batter can call more than 2 timeouts. Maybe you give the pitcher an extra disengagement, and maybe, and I'd have to do the math and look at it, maybe you give 20 and 25 seconds in the playoffs. Maybe.
Right. I don't know. I just think they're going to be so used to, it's 162 games. They're going to be so used to it. Like, we're not even going to notice a difference, and they won't notice a difference.
They're going to be so fluent with this by May. Exactly. You're not even going to notice it.
The one thing about baseball that I never understood is, there's so many like unwritten rules, or just like not unwritten rules. There's so many gray areas in baseball. Like, for example, like if there's a runner on base and you flinch as the pitcher, it's a balk. But if nobody's on base, Nestor Cortez could stand up there and do a 360 on the mound and, go up and down, wait 5 seconds, and there's no penalty whatsoever. And a pitcher could take however long or as short as he wants. You could pick off to first base as many times as you want. When you do a mound visit, you could stay there for however long as you want. The umpire is going to walk up there and say, all right, guys, let's go. But there's really no rule.
The 30-second doesn't matter.
He's not going to if you take too long, technically the umpire can eject you. That never happens. So there's all these gray areas in baseball. So I'm happy that some of those are, we're bringing some color to these gray areas now because there's too many of them, and I think it hurts the sport more than it benefits it. And we just, like we said, with the pace of play, I love the new rules. Except I'm still 50-50 with the ghost runner thing. I'm still like not sure about that.
Well,
I don't know if I love it or if I hate it.
I've never liked the ghost runner, but I think I'm used to it at this point. I think a lot of people, I think fans are used to it at this point. I like the ghost runner in the regular season if you do it in like the 11th or 12th inning. Like, give me 2 innings of regular extra inning baseball and then give it to me. Because I'm not going to lie to you, if I'm watching my team play and we're in the 19th inning and we know that we're just burning arms here and maybe there's a big series coming up and you got to use this guy, like, at that point, I don't care anymore if we win the game. Like, I just, you're ruining the next series. You're burning way too many guys. I don't want to see that.
Right. Yeah, me neither.
So give me the ghost runner in the 12th inning. But
okay,
10th and 11th, I'd like to see some extra inning baseball.
Right.
Let us win it.
It's a fair ask.
Yeah, but it's not a bad idea.
No.
Like, they don't have bad ideas, just like the way they use the ideas. Like, that's the problem.
Imagine they just did like a home run derby, like like hockey or soccer does in a shootout. You just go out there and start hitting bombs and
mashing. Well, isn't that the rule now for an extra innings in the All-Star game?
Oh, it is? Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is.
That'd
be really stupid, though, if it was real.
Oh, if that was in, like... I'd want to see that in the All-Star game, but I really don't want to see that in, like, a regular
real games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the NFL here. As, we kind of missed it last week with the breaking news that, Aaron Rodgers wants to join your team, the New York Jets. But now we're kind of at the, stage where we're waiting for a trade to happen. What are the Jets going to have to give up? And when is the trade going to happen? Does it happen after June 1st or does it happen before the draft? So how you feeling and what do you think is going to happen here?
I mean, I felt good ever since, what Rodgers said, that he wants to be a Jet. Now, as time goes on and, things get quieter and quieter, it makes me more nervous. But I understand the Packers' perspective of not, if you want to wait till after June 1st in terms of the money. But if I'm the GM of the Packers, I want this trade done as soon as possible. You're going to just wait for your draft capital to push over 1 year and lengthen that process by an entire year. Plus, if you're taking on the Jets picks, that second round pick or that first round pick that you want from the Jets, if you wait till June 1st, that pick next year isn't going to be most likely in the middle or the early middle part of the first or second round. Now you're talking the Jets we would expect to make the playoffs, and who knows how far they'll go from there. So that pick gets less and less valuable depending on where they finish at the end of the season standing. So if I'm the Packers, I want this deal done. I want, just to move on, to give my franchise quarterback for the last 18 years, give him his wish, and just let both sides move on and get ready for their next season. The whole thing of waiting until June 1st, I don't really see it happening, to be honest with you. I know it's a concern, or I don't even know if it's a concern for Jets fans, but it's a possibility. I don't really see it happening because of what I just said. Now, do we know where the Packers and the Jets are in terms of compensation and where they stand in their differences? I don't know about that. There's reports coming out where they're lowballing the Packers or this and that. You don't really know where these reports are coming from, but as it stands, it seems like they're decently far apart.
Yeah, and I don't, I've heard the arguments of who has the leverage, who doesn't have the leverage.
If I hear that word one more time, my head might explode.
I don't think anybody has any leverage. I think the Jets are completely and utterly desperate for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I think there's only one team. Obviously, there's only one team going after him, so that hurts the Packers. But Aaron did say, I want to play for the Jets, which kind of hurts the Packers, a little bit.
They
but
need
it
each
also
other.
hurts they have to come to an understanding here. I don't think the Jets are gonna and I've heard Jet fans and seen Jet fans say, "Oh, we're gonna get him for nothing." You're not gonna get him for nothing. Like, I think that first round pick ends up going to Green Bay, but not much else.
Right.
I've seen. I saw a report yesterday. It was a first, a third, a fourth, and Tyler Conklin.
That's a lot. That's a lot. A
I
first,
think
a third, a fourth. We have no draft. That's a lot.
I think it'll end up being like 2 picks in this year's draft, possibly a conditional next year. And the Packers are like desperate for a tight end at this point.
Yeah.
So I probably Conklin will end up going there too.
I think we'll definitely see a conditional pick in there. And, it could be similar to what the Jets did with Favre, where they gave them a 4th round pick and it could turn into a third or a second, a third if they made the playoffs, second if they went to the championship game, and the first if they made the Super Bowl, whatever it was. I could see that being in play. That's a lot, though. That is a lot. I think if there's one player that a lot of people keep saying Elijah Moore, I think Corey Davis is going to be in the trade. I think that one makes the most sense. You got a lot of money going around. Corey Davis has one more year left. He's making over $10 million. I forgot exactly what the number is. It might be 13 or something like that. They need a receiver, the Packers. It would be a nice one to get for Love. Then you have a pretty decent receiving core there with Watson and the experienced Corey Davis and Dobbs and whoever else you got over there. So he to me seems the most realistic one. The Jets are just they're gonna trade a receiver, I think. I mean, if you already got Lazard and OBJ's name's getting flown around, it makes sense to trade one of Moore or Davis. But Corey Davis or Elijah Moore, I would bet, are not the guys holding up this trade. It's draft picks. And like I said, the reports that keep coming out, it's, they want 2 first-round picks. Oh, they don't want any first-round picks. Oh, the rival GM say there's no way the Jets are going to trade a first-round pick. He's not worth the first-round pick. Oh, the Packers are getting lowballed by the Jets. Like, it's all over the place. And I have no idea what to expect, honestly, out of this trade.
I read you a tweet just now. So Jeremy Fowler a minute ago just tweeted out, McCole Hardman has agreed to terms with the Jets.
Oh my God, I just saw that.
On a 1-year deal. And then he goes, more speed for Cleveland's offense. So I don't know.
And wait, Adam Schefter just said big get for the Jets. So what team is he on?
But now apparently Jordan Schultz had posted a little while ago that he agreed with the Browns.
This is crazy that this is happening right now as we're talking about Jets receivers.
So what is
I am ecstatic if he's to the Jets. I love McCole Hardman.
Yeah.
Tom Pelissero said the Jets.
Did he really?
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Why is this tweet still up? It's been 2 minutes. It still says Cleveland's offense.
I gotta see somebody confirm this.
Please.
So wait, Fowler has said it ESPN. Schefter has said it ESPN.
Okay, it's the Jets. Yeah,
it's definitely the Jets.
The athletic writer just said it's the Jets.
Okay, very nice.
Oh, okay. So back to what we were saying. Now you have McCole Hardman. I think that I don't want to jump the gun here, but that kind of takes them out of the OBJ running, no?
Why would
I don't care. No, I'm not. I'm saying I don't really want OBJ, but that seems that it would take them out of it, right?
Wilson, Moore,
Lazard.
Hardman. What are you gonna do?
And Corey Davis. So one of those guys is gone.
Yeah,
Mims is still on the roster.
They're not signing it. It never made any sense, especially with what his price tag is going to be. And I don't think it'll be as high as he thinks what he's going to get.
Yeah.
But it's still never made 100% sense. And I think that whole, listing was kind of overblown. I usually don't believe what Rodgers says, but I sort of understood what he was saying on the Pat McAfee show last week. The Jets probably asked him, who would you want to play with? What are a group of guys that if we can, you would like us to target? And that's the list he gave. Yeah. Now, it's stupid that Randall Cobb and Mercedes Lewis are on the list, but whatever. I digress. Lazard is a really good player who helps the Jets and fits the offense 100%. You go get him.
Yeah.
Plus,
Plus,
obviously, OBJ is a talented
you know,
player.
Diana Rossini reported that, and Aaron Rodgers doesn't answer her text messages. So who knows how accurate the names on that list were, too.
Yeah. That's something. McCole Hardman, a New York Jet. And that's probably like, that would be your equivalent to your Odell signing.
Yeah.
Like they're kind of a similar player almost.
Whoa, wait. No, what?
They're
Hardman
not like, they're
Odell?
not. No, I'm not saying talent level, but like the same style of receiver that Odell has become, especially when he was with the Rams. Odell is not
McCole
like
Hardman's
this,
just like a burner, like he's like a jet sweep guy, like, you know,
crosses,
get him in open
catch the
space kind of guy.
Yes,
he's not. I think this is more of a replacing Braxton Berrios move. I think that's exactly what this is. I think, you know, he's got kick return potential, punt return, whatever you want to put him on. You know, he'll be a good special teamer, and he adds that threat of stretching the field on the offense, of doing trick plays and jet sweeps and all that stuff.
Yeah. So this is big. Your New York Jets are making moves. We'll see when this trade gets done. I don't have a prediction. I really don't. I don't know what gets done, but
it's like impossible to make a prediction. Like, I don't.
Yeah. We'll see. Another quarterback that is, I guess you could say, available, but not like really available. That would be Lamar Jackson. And this is just getting weirder as every day goes by that we don't hear something from, any report, any rumor that a team is going after him or the Ravens and him are talking. Like, I guess we wouldn't know.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be in the know if whether or not they're still talking and negotiating, but no reports have come out, and it's getting strange.
It is. And, you know, you hear things of saying he's not interested anymore in the Ravens, which I highly doubt that is true. Another case where it's like, I don't know where the hell this guy's going to end up. You know, I think the safe pick here is he's going to go back to Baltimore, but this whole situation has just been a little strange. Not a little.
There's no teams that want him. Yeah. I mean, I read a report the other day that the Colts are out on Lamar, so they were considering it.
Honestly, I don't blame, like, to me, like, I have Jets fans saying, you know, if this thing with Rodgers falls through, like, we got to go after Lamar, or like people even saying, like, screw Rodgers, let's get Lamar. I 100% would rather have Rodgers. And I'm not just saying, you know, next year I'd rather have Rodgers. Yeah, no crap. But, like, I'm saying in terms of, like, the situation for my football team looking long term, I'd rather have Rodgers. And the reason I say that is because, you know, Lamar's had his injury troubles the past couple of seasons. You're going to have to give him a big contract, very big contract, and you have to give up 2 first-round picks. You
would rather 2 years, and who knows what it could be. I mean, it could be 1 year and a terrible offseason where he's going to, report that he could retire and flirt with that and then end up playing again. So 2 years of Rodgers or 6 years of Lamar, you'd still pick 2 years of Rodgers?
Yeah. I just think, obviously in a vacuum, if all other factors aside, I would take Lamar. But then when you consider the money, the draft picks, the injury concerns, everything like that, and then the talent, because I think Rodgers is a better quarterback than Lamar. Lamar's a top 10 quarterback in this league. He's a guy that has won an MVP that could win a Super Bowl. But I'd rather have Rodgers. It's a lot, man. 2 first-round picks, that's a lot. With all that money, and then you gotta extend Quinton Williams, you gotta extend Sauce, you gotta extend Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, who knows what's gonna happen with him. So got a lot of guys, that you're gonna have to pay.
Yeah. But then it's like, what do you do after? Like, what? I mean, I know we don't even have Rodgers on the Jets, and we haven't even played a game, but it's like 2 years from now, you're still thinking you still got to be looking for your franchise quarterback, essentially. Yeah. It's not forever with him. But yeah, it's getting stranger and stranger. You saw these reports. Well, the other GMs around the league do not want to do the Ravens, work for them, because that's essentially what you're doing. You're going to negotiate with Lamar, and you're going to get all the way down the line. And no matter what happens, the Ravens just wanted to see what the open market was going to be like for him. Right. And they were just going to match whatever offer. and they were going to bring him back. And no team is negotiating. No team is doing that work for the Ravens. So now it gets interesting. Does Lamar budge off of this guaranteed money that he needs it, 200, whatever it is, 230 million guaranteed, or does he, come to his senses and, take the best offer available from the Ravens?
Well, he was tweeting and saying that he wasn't, there's a false reports. He's not looking for all that guaranteed money and everything like that. And I don't know if that's just smoke or what's going on, but I'm sure whatever he's demanding, it's a very steep price.
Yes.
Whether it's fully guaranteed or 80% guaranteed, I'm sure he's asking for a ton of guaranteed money and a very big financial commitment from whatever team is going to sign him. So, like I said, it's just, I'm really not too sure. And I don't think anybody's sure what's going to end up here, but I think the most realistic option is he's back with the Ravens.
And again, I think that, the Ravens are a very smart and well-run organization. I stand by that. They've had great teams, a great coach. I believe that it is an egregious amount of money that he wants, and they are that far off.
So
that we've gotten.
How long does he have until it's like, all right, time's up, go back, play on that franchise tag?
That I'm not too sure about.
I know it's a 5-day window of when he agrees to an offer sheet from another team,
right?
That the Ravens can match that, but obviously he hasn't agreed with anybody, so the Ravens don't have to move a muscle.
He'll play. I'm sure he'll want to play on that.
I don't know.
He'll play. He'll play on that 40. 40. Oh no, it's not even 40. It's 32. Yeah, I don't know.
You don't think he's gonna hold out?
If it was the 40, no, but I think the 32 he might, because it's the non-exclusive.
Right.
So I think he might actually hold out. He could. I don't know. It's interesting.
This could get ugly. This could get ugly.
You know what was ugly? The contracts that Dalton Schultz and CJ Gardner-Johnson signed.
Yeah.
So weird. Like really, really weird.
And CJ Gardner-Johnson, I really wish athletes didn't have Twitter sometimes, because I think it happened about 3 times where he tweeted something about the Eagles or whatever, saying he's disrespected, talking about the fans, whatever, and then he deletes it 5 minutes later. So I don't know. I mean, that's a very nice signing for the Lions. That defense was awful last year. If they have a league average defense, they're a playoff team last year. So good for them.
They've done a lot to that defense. They've added a ton of guys in the secondary now. There's a really good chance that Jalen Carter is going to be on the board for them at their draft pick.
Yeah.
Or the Rams draft pick, which is huge. They're going to beef up that defensive line as well to go along with Hutchinson. I think I'll say right now, they're locked to win that division. Like, I think they win that division, and I think it's...
Nah. I understand the hype around the Lions, and
I thought you were on that.
And I am on the Lions, but to say they're a lock?
Oh, they're a lock.
Come on. I'm telling you, man, I wouldn't put Green Bay to sleep.
No, I'm not putting Green Bay to sleep at all. But the Lions are legit. I mean, good offense, good run game. They'll still have a good run game.
That defense hasn't improved that much, though.
They've signed a ton of guys in the secondary. I think they've signed like 3 or 4 guys for their secondary.
Are they enough to move the needle, though?
Gardner-Johnson, that guy Sutton, I think he's coming from Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have. I'm looking at their odds right now. Hold on, to win the North.
And it's not the Bears. That's not the team where I'm saying the Bears are going to finish in last again.
The Bears might have improved their team by a couple of wins.
What the hell are they doing? I mean, you let Roquan Smith go. You trade him. Then you trade a 2nd-round pick, which is basically a 33rd overall pick, to the Steelers for Chase Claypool.
It's actually the 32nd because there's only 31 picks.
Oh, the Dolphins don't have a pick?
The Dolphins don't have a pick. So it's technically a 1st-round pick.
So that happens. And then you sign TJ Edwards, who I'm like, oh, that's a nice signing for them. And then they signed Tremaine Edmonds. So you signed 2 linebackers. One of them you gave 72 million, which is a lot.
Yeah.
At a position where like middle linebacker is important, but it's probably one of the least important positions on a defense. I think in today's modern NFL, corner, edge rushers, the two, those are 2 very important ones, interior defensive line, and then I would say you go to linebacker. So
The Giants and their fans would like to disagree with you. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I mean the contract was outrageous. I just feel like letting Roquan Smith go. I mean, trading him away.
But they said like, oh, they're gonna, with the Roquan Smith thing, like, oh, they're gonna pay attention to what money goes where in terms of position. Basically saying that they didn't want to spend that much money on linebacker, and then they signed 2 this offseason. So
he did get a huge contract though.
Yeah.
Smith got a big time contract from Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
The Lions are plus 130, by the way, to win their division.
Wow, those are good odds.
For context, they're the favorite. The Eagles are plus 105 to win the East. The Saints are plus 115 to win their division. So yeah.
The Niners got to be pretty heavy favorites now.
Minus 160.
Yeah, that's pretty.
That'll be the team that represents.
Who's the biggest favorite in the NFL for their division?
150, 155 to the
Bengals.
155 to the Chiefs. So no, it's the 49ers. They're minus 160.
That makes sense. What are
the Bengals? The Bengals are plus 135.
Really?
Yeah. The Bills are plus 125. The Jets are plus 230. I'll tell you something right now. Don't sleep on those Denver Broncos this year. They're going to be in the playoffs.
I know you're a big Sean Payton guy. So
I'm a big Sean Payton guy. I'm a big Broncos defense guy. They fixed the offensive line. It looks like they've added a ton of talent there. I think the Broncos are going to have a big resurgence here.
Let's ride.
Let's ride. It's right. Russ had some knee surgery. He's been bugging him for a few years. Russ is going to have a good year.
Cornball.
I don't care. But you know what? I wanted to say something to you about cornball, like off air. Like somebody that like you like is a huge cornball. I forgot. I gotta think of it.
Okay.
But like it's so funny. I'm like, you call this guy, you hate Pete Alonso for being a cornball.
Right.
But I gotta think of it. Let's stay on topic. We kind of spoke on Odell Beckham Jr. DeAndre Hopkins like a lock to be traded. And it seems like he wants to go to Dallas, but I don't really think that's a possibility anymore. They just traded in, granted, not many picks, but they did bring in Brandon Cooks, which was like an under the radar, pretty good move for them.
Yeah.
Where do you think D Hop is playing next year?
I'm gonna say New England.
Okay. His buddy Bill.
I think Bill just says, screw it. Let me get D Hop. I could see him as a Patriot. And they'll finish 4th and they'll blow.
Yeah.
And Mac Jones will not play a game again. Did you see, I hate to get off topic here, but it is still on topic. Did you see that Jason McCourty said that the Patriots players preferred Bailey Zappi over Mac Jones last season?
Bailey Zappi was the man.
I know. And they kept playing scrub boy, Mac Jones. So
he's not a scrub.
He's pretty. Colin Cowherd thinks the Jets should go after him if Rodgers falls through, though.
Wouldn't be a bad move. Be better than what you have.
If Colin Cowherd has your back, that you're in trouble.
Jesus Christ. I mean, anything's better than what they have. I saw this, the old takes exposed.
Yeah.
They had this.
This is a Colin Cowherd thing?
No.
Oh.
It's a Jets thing. Do you remember last year when Braxton Berrios and Zach Wilson wore those shirts? Like,
oh, yeah.
Zach is good. And Zach wore Braxton is good. Like, yeah, okay.
How'd that go, guys?
Exactly.
I thought you were going to say when Colin Cowherd tweeted Sam Darnold plus Greg Williams plus Adam Gase, where can I buy my Jets AFC Championship tickets?
Oh, yeah, that's bad too.
Like, what the hell?
I'm a Cowherd guy. I like Colin Cowherd.
Which I don't get it, dude. Like,
you know what? We have to listen.
You like Craig Carton, you like Colin Cowherd, you like guys who have no idea what they're talking about.
But at the end of the day, like I'm watching and listening. Like, yeah, I want to hear about sports. I want to hear takes. You're going to be wrong a lot of the time. Like that's just the way it is.
Like he's like belligerently wrong.
I want to be entertained. He's not. There are guys much
Colin
worse.
Cowherd is a belligerently wrong.
There are guys much worse than Colin Cowherd.
Quarterbacks. That thing I just said about Mac Jones, like he's swung and missed really bad before.
Okay, and he's also hit. Nobody talks about the times when guys hit when they actually make a good take. And listen, sure, he swings and misses a lot. You're not gonna bat 500. You're not gonna bat 600.
Yeah, but he like his misses are like you didn't even have to swing a kind of like what the hell is that take?
There are guys much. I think Skip Bayless is impossible to listen to.
Yeah.
I don't think he's informed. I think Cowherd is very informed. He does his research and his takes are out there sometimes, but it's not for a lack of knowledge. It's not for a lack of preparation. I think he's prepared. I think he's a smart guy, and I think his takes are out there sometimes and he's wrong, but I'd rather that than a guy that is just completely uneducated on the topic and throwing
well, yeah, he's not like when Stephen A talks about baseball and you're like, please stop talking. Like he is a good entertainer and he's well spoken, he's good at his job.
Like, listen, he's wrong. He has
gotta relax.
He has a lot of misses. He has a lot of hot takes. I'll admit that, but he's entertaining. I like him.
You gonna make your list?
Oh my god, I gotta do the list.
Yeah.
Just wondering where I'm gonna put Kodai Seng on the list. He had a nice outing today, so I'm impressed. It's the NL East things really got me going. I don't know like what I'm gonna do here. Cause like
don't think into that too much. It's just look at the pitchers.
Two Cy Youngs.
No, there's a lot of NL East guys there. I'm saying, like, just look around, make your list, and when it's over, count how many NL East guys you put. Don't be like, oh, I gotta look at the NL East first. Let me put 7 guys on the list. That's crazy.
You can make the argument there's 7 guys, and then Cole, Shohei, and somebody else. I'm trying to Corbin Burns.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'm going to put Nola on the list.
Forgetting somebody.
Screw Nola.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. All right. That's going to do it for 91. Look out for our top 10 pitcher list. This is going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty pumped for this. And next week, oh my God, opening day, prediction show. I can't wait. This close to going to Miami. Like this close.
Do it.
If I find what I told you I lost before the show started, I might.
Okay.
We might. This close. But anyway, anything you got to say?
Nope.
That's it.